Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon. So today I just want to show you guys a crazy intense game. It was a really crazy ending and just an overall like nuts game. So I wanted to show you guys it because I thought it was really funny and kind of an entertaining game. So yeah, I mean, just going into the first thing I wanted to show you guys is just how OP Echo's early wave clear is in mid lane. So if you're able to play into a champion whose damage is based around spell rotations, basically most AP champions, then you can go straight up onto the turret like I did, immediately first ability. Then when your first ability comes off cooldown, you do it again, you're going to clear the wave. Then you can go and look for enemy jungle. And there have been many times where I've ended up getting an invade and killing their jungler when they do start blue buff. So many times the enemy jungle started blue buff and we've ended up killing them. In this scenario, we don't actually kill them, but we're able to get vision, and that vision allows us to know where enemy jungle is starting and just gives us a good like idea, right, of where we can hover in the lane and this type of thing. Like, for example, I'm going to want to hover towards the bot side of the map soon because the enemy jungle will be there. Now, here I get greedy. I wanted to see if I could kill this fast enough. Not very smart of me. But we end up putting ourselves in a pretty bad position and blowing our flash. Or I don't know. I forget. We don't flash, but we end up taking a bunch of damage for no reason. And then Xin Zhao comes here. So you guys can already see it's a very messy, very weird game to start, where just a lot of random stuff happens. We end up going on to the Kennen, burning his flash then. So just a really weird start, but overall, I mean, it worked out. This is kind of what you want to be doing a lot as Echo, is just focusing on having constant prio by pushing the wave really frequently. And then things like this can happen where now I do have to flash, but we get the kill with that weird Xin Zhao gank. So very weird start. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that you constantly have prio means that you can mess with enemy jungle a lot early game, which is what we did. And again, got a little greedy, but still like the idea is there, right? Where we're really messing with jungle. I've had a lot of first bloods on enemy jungles and stuff that work out very well. And so we're just going to skip forward to now when we get back to lane. And again, we just want to use our first ability for the wave clear and just constantly focus on that wave clear. The nice thing about playing a late game champion with good wave clear early game is that you have the early advantage as well. But you're probably not going to kill anyone realistically, but your goal is not really to kill anyone. It's just to have prio and have the pressure in the lane so you can scale up basically for free, which is what we do here. We just keep pushing the lane forward, keeping that pressure up, and then if we ever see an angle to rotate with our teammate, we obviously take it. So that's just kind of the main thing to keep in mind in terms of this early game. Again, we'll just kind of, skip forward a little bit because we don't really need to talk about all these small early game. It's a pretty long game at the end of the day, so we're just going to show you guys the things that kind of matter. But we get a nice little trade again onto the Kennen, and so we're looking for a possible all-in angle when my third ability comes up, which I believe I do end up taking. But yeah, we don't end up getting the kill. Then we try to ult onto him, and we do kill him there. So he does not realize that our ultimate is still there as we walk onto him, and so then we blow him up. So pretty silly of him. Now we just get a free plate. Xin Zhao is on the top side, so we can hover towards the top side and not really be too worried about ganking or getting ganked. And we see the Talon is, pretty low health. So it's pretty easy here. And then again, that wave clear, we just first ability the wave one time. First ability comes back up. We do it a second time, and boom, the wave is cleared. And we just constantly get to roam, which is just a really like crazy thing about this champion. But yeah, because we got that early kill onto the Kennen and everything, we're quite strong. So we're just going to recall, spend our gold, all that. And then we'll just, again, skip back towards the lane. Once again, we just push the lane. And again, because of the fact that we have really good wave clear, we just end up sticking onto the turret. And so Kennen does get a roam off and makes it a little harder for our bot lane to play. But the amount of an advantage that we're getting on a late game champion like Echo here with how fast we push turrets is way more valuable than the gold that Kennen's getting because of all that he's losing as well. So we're pretty happy with the outcome, right? And we are just able to, get ourselves in a very accelerated position overall. Like, already hitting Lichbane plus mana boots at this point in the game is pretty absurd. And then obviously getting first turret as well, pretty absurd. So then we're going to, again, just go and wave clear really quickly. And then recall for that item, because once we hit the Lichbane, we're going to be kind of just one-shotting people. So we're pretty happy to recall afterwards. And again, obviously it kind of sucks that we recall right when objective is spawning, and I generally don't recommend this. But in this case, because we had the opportunity to get so much gold, I was okay with it, right? So even though typically I don't recommend it, in some cases it works out. And then I want to see if I can one-shot the Kennen because he is pretty low health, but we don't end up getting him. We're just kind of looking for him. And then they're on the Herald, and so again, we can just push this mid-wave right away and then rotate topside in case they drop the Herald topside. But Kennen does give me an opportunity to kind of one-shot him and then walks into my ultimate. because he's a silly goose, and so we get a free kill. I don't think this guy knows what Echo Ultimate does. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really don't think he does. But now we just get the mid wave for free, and then we can rotate towards top side right after. I guess we go bot side, yeah. So the decision here was to go bot side to try to make a play onto the turret because the enemy, were making a play top side with the Herald, and we weren't really gonna stop Herald. And so I just end up invading his blue side. So we get his Gromp, and then we get his blue buff as well here. So yeah, that is a nice thing as well. Since we knew we couldn't really protect the turret, like the turret was already dead, we just take his camps. And so what this does, it gives me about 150 gold per camp, and then it denies 150 plus gold per camp on him. So that's like a 300 or a 600 net gold play, right, for me, which is pretty good considering the fact that they got Herald. They're already going to get a guaranteed turret anyway, so I can't really stop that turret. So we end up getting good value from that play. And then if we had a gank angle on bot side, we could have gone for that too, but we didn't. And so my gold at this point in the game is just like crazy. I mean, I'm already nearly 2 items at 6.5 minutes. Like, that is pretty unheard of. I wanted to see if I could possibly ult back to lane. That's another funny thing I've been using more often, is after you recall, you immediately ult back to lane to keep your tempo up. It's kind of like a semi-teleport type of thing, but we didn't have the opportunity to do it there. And then I'm looking for a one-shot, seeing if I can one-shot anyone here, but we don't see an angle, so we just go back towards mid lane again. But again, because of just how much gold we've gotten on ourselves as a late-game champion, we're very happy with the potential of carrying this game. And you're going to see, we're going to need to carry this game very hard at the end of the day. So again, we go straight on this mid wave, and then after the mid wave is when we look for the rotation. So you can see, the same principle we've been talking about in a lot of our videos recently, which is that you push that wave, then you look for the rotation. And I think I would probably want to recall potentially because I do have my item, but because we see an angle to fight, we're going to look for possible one-shot onto Nami, and we are, I believe, going to kill the Nami. Or barely not, I don't remember now. But then we ult back to our shield, and then we killed the Talon as well. Our team ends up getting the finishing blows, and then we got Jhin quite low. But now we got to try to escape the Mundo, so we dash onto the minion with our third ability. And then now we're just dashing away from Mundo, trying to survive. But he does have his flash, so now we kind of have to dodge his skills. And we don't dodge that one, and so it slows us. And he's already really fed. Like, this Mundo was really, really fed this game. And so we're kind of in a scary spot at this point, running under the tower. And then the problem is I went for this fruit. If I just kept running away, I would have been fine. But I thought, like, oh, I can probably outplay him under the turret. But we could not. And so because we weren't able to outplay him under the turret, we kind of get screwed over. And the Mundo is very fed. So yeah, mistake by me to not just keep running backwards there. Mundo, very beefy, obviously able to dive us there. And yeah, you're kind of going to see how big of a problem he becomes later on in the game. And I had a viewer ask me about this, so I think it's important to mention. They were saying when they play Echo, they like going Morello Namicon, the anti-heal item, second against Mundo, and stuff like that. And so if you guys are looking as an assassin to itemize against tanks, you don't really want to hamper your damage by doing something like anti-heal, like a full anti-heal item really early, because you're not going to target a tank very much in the early game. Like, you're not going to be targeting the Mundo all game. You're not going to be targeting, the tank Malphite or whatever. You're going to be targeting the squishier champions on the enemy team anyway. Obviously, it's kind of funny since I do end up, on the Mundo's lane right now, but like, generally speaking, that's not going to be a common thing that occurs. And so you don't really want to itemize super heavily against this tank early on, because it makes it so that you can't carry as hard because you can't kill the squishy. And so because of that, I don't get Morellos until 5th item here, where like at that point, it's now like I have my main items, and now I can get that anti-heal in order to deal with the Mundo. And so that's just something to keep in mind. When you're deciding on how to itemize. I would rather go for the extra damage that I get from my Death Cap, my Soul Stealer, all those items, rather than, hampering my damage just to do a bit more damage to a Mundo or to stop his healing, because that's not really my job. My job is to kill all the people around the Mundo, and then if Mundo ints like this, I can ignite him, and I still have anti-heal applied. So because I was able to ignite him here, we're still able to get that kill, and then we get the kill on the cannon right after. And that's because the ignite applies anti-heal, and so I still have an amount of anti-heal if I need it, and then I don't, have to hamper my damage as much in the early game. And so because we get that double kill, we're looking good. We go for this dragon now, and we look to potentially blow up anyone, but they're probably going to be too scared to approach. And so yeah, we end up going onto the Jhin here and getting a bunch of damage onto him, but he is pretty tanky with that Nami healing. But I think we do one-shot him. We do indeed one-shot him. And then we go for the Nami, and look at that burst damage, by the way. Like, my champion's damage is insane. It's absolutely nuts if you're able to get third ability auto, first ability auto, because then you proc your passive, you get the third ability, which is like 100% AP scaling. And it's just nuts. And if you're ever able to land your ultimate damage or your Q2 damage, I mean, you're just gonna one-shot the entire enemy team. So yeah, we're already hitting death cap here at 10.5 minutes. Crazy pacing right now for the game. And my champion is just going to continue to one-shot all of the enemy. But you're going to see the game is really messy, right? Like, my team is behind. They have a fed Mundo. They have a fed Talon. I mean, the game is hard. And I'm kind of the only person with a lot of gold right now. And so we have to be really, really careful. And anytime that we get caught or die, I mean, it's immediately, like, pretty much a lost fight. So here, we want to see if we can one-shot the Nami or anything like that. Because, again, my burst damage is really high. We end up blowing her flash, which is nice. And then I don't remember if I tried to ult. I do not end up trying to ult. But then we have to ult here because of the Talon chasing us. And then I die. That was a stupid flash. But I think we get Talon at least at the end of the day. Yeah. That was kind of a panic flash. I didn't see Jhin there, and I flashed, and then Jhin shows up. It's like, oh, we end up dying. At least we got a kill out of it, but we give away a shutdown, so not really great. And that's kind of what I mean, right? You see me die one time through a mistake, and then all of a sudden, you know, my team dies as well because it's like they're so weak without me. And that's why you're going to see this game get really, really messy, and honestly quite entertaining, I would say. But yeah, I mean, Zinja actually had a double kill angle there, by the way. He got a bit scared, but if he was just dashing onto them, third ability, he would definitely kill them there. But he's a bit too scared, which I get. You know, it's probably not a good Zinja player. Probably doesn't play it much and doesn't know the limits of it. So he could have looked for that. That would have been nice. But he's been like Thornmail second. I just realized he has a full Thornmail item second. So that's really weird. That probably makes his damage a lot lower. I don't really know why he's doing that. But either way, we're trying to prevent the Baron now because we assume they're probably going for Baron. And so the main goal is to try to just one-shot them here. But that Rumble ult is kind of scary for me. And so I'm just trying to see if I can one-shot anyone so that we can get the objective or anything like that. But I end up having to ult out because the Mundo, you know, makes my life kind of scary. And so now we're just trying to look for possible damage. See if we can one-shot anyone. We end up one-shotting the Talon, but we don't get the Baron out of it. Now we have to go target the Nami because we don't want to target Jhin because he could kill us. And so we get a double kill there, and then we end up getting the triple kill onto the Kennen, but the Jhin does finish us off. So we got 3 there, right? So we stopped the Baron a little bit, and Kalista's kiting out the Mundo. So Kalista's really nice in the Mundo because of the kiting that she has, and so she's able to get some nice stuff there done. But they got the Baron at the end of the day, so we're not really super happy with the outcome, but at least we killed them so they can't get a bunch of pressure. And then I remember my stream started lagging here, so you might see some random lag here or there. I've had a lot of Wi-Fi issues lately. Don't really know what that's all about, but I guess college dorm Wi-Fi, you know, it's not the best. I think this is something that's important to mention, is how I try to prevent their Baron value. When the enemy gets Baron, especially if you're able to like kill 1 or 2 afterwards, it's important to push the side lanes so that the enemy don't get too much value. Like at the end of the day, if they get the mid inhib, I don't really care because that's just going to be free gold for us, and it's not going to be the worst thing ever. But what would be really bad is if they started pushing really hard on the side lane. And so I would way rather go on the side lane here like you see, and even though I believe I end up dying. Yeah, because he flashes onto us. Even though I end up dying here, it's way better than them getting a bunch of turrets at the end of the day. And so pushing out that side lane means that we alleviate a lot of pressure from that Baron. The Baron doesn't get a bunch of inhibs or anything, and at the end of the day, I just give them 300 gold. But I got that gold from clearing the wave anyway, and we deny them from getting too much. And because we already have dragons, they're not going to get soul, so we're not like, oh my god, I need to be alive for this next dragon. At the end of the day, being alive for this dragon, we wouldn't get it anyways because they have way too much pressure. And also, this is really funny. Callista just... Bro, okay, this was so funny, dude. Like, this is when I was like, yeah, this game looks kind of hopeless. Like, that Callista did like 42 auto attacks on the Mundo and then just got one shot, and then my Emilio gets ran down afterwards. And then when I saw this, I was like, yeah guys, maybe we're not going to win this one. You know, it was an interesting one, but we do end up chasing down the Mundo. We get the stun onto him, and then we ult him, and we do kill him here. Nice little combo I've been liking doing. I didn't do it there, but a lot of times use third ability into ultimate, and then you can dash right onto them afterwards. So that's nice. We get another double kill here. So, you know, we're cleaning people up when they end up going onto our teammates, but our teammates are still getting one shot by a Mundo. And then when you see a Mundo one shot your team, you're probably not too you know, positive on the overall outcome of the game. But at the end of the day, we have 4 items already, and I have stasis, so like I'm really strong. And whenever you're like this on a late game champion and you're really fed, even if your team is behind, you always have that hope that you can, you know, randomly one shot the enemy carry. So my goal here is like, okay, if I can one-shot enemy carry 1 time, we still have a chance at winning. At the end of the day, I'm you know, still ahead of the pace of the game as a whole. And so that's kind of the main thing. We're just getting mid prio right now, and then kind of just holding control and seeing if we can ever one-shot someone. That's really the overall goal here at this point. But obviously very, very hard to play. And it was a pretty funny game overall. I think it goes like 24 minutes, not to spoil, but I might have spoiled how long it goes. But either way, I don't really want to target Mundo too hard, but because nobody else is nearby, we end up just being able to take a little bit of time to go onto Mundo. But then you see I tried a third ability ultimate, and then we almost get the Talon, but my auto tech didn't go onto him because he went invis with his ultimate, and so my auto didn't target him. And if my auto targeted him, I would have killed him there. And so that was unfortunate, but we tried to get the third ability ultimate combo that I was talking to you guys about done, and then here I get greedy. I could have one-shot her if I landed her on her, but yeah, this was just greedy at the end of the day. I try to outplay, but just, again, greedy. Very bad play by me, and so, again, that's the hard thing. When you're this fed, you make that dumb mistake one time, all of a sudden the game is extremely tough, right? So at this point, they get the Baron, I believe, and, we're just looking pretty shaky, but again, you're gonna see some interesting gameplay as the game goes on. It's quite the fiesta. Kalista gets a nice little kill there onto the Mundo. Mundo kind of makes a dumb play, but Mai Zhenjiao's dead, so it's like they're trying to pressure Baron. But the Kennen really threw this game in a lot of ways. Like Kennen going bot side here was really bad. Got an inhib, which is nice, but that Baron would have allowed them to easily get the Elder, which would be way more valuable. Instead, their team wasn't able to survive the Baron because the Kennen wasn't there, and so then the Talon dies, and now we have a chance of getting Elder because Talon's dead, but then Kalista dies, and then Melio dies. It's like, this game is just a mess at this point. And so at this point, I'm pretty much looking to try to one-shot someone so we can get the Elder Dragon. Again, that, overall AP scaling on Echo is so high that you can legitimately one-shot any champion that doesn't build a lot of MR in the late game. And so that's really my goal here right now, and we do indeed get that Nami. I believe she ends up dying to my... Yep, she does. And so that's the real thing there. Then we go on to the Jhin, and that was clean. So you saw the combo. I want to go back. I want to show you guys the combo again. So remember, I third ability, then I ultimate, auto attack. Look at him get one shot. Third ability, ultimate, auto attack, one shot. And notice how I threw my second ability as well, so the shield would be on him. It didn't matter for there, but like that would get the stun sometimes. But you can see that damage is just actually absurd. And this is the type of thing that Echo can do. And it's honestly hilarious to me. I've been playing so much Echo lately, and I can't get over it. But then Mai Zhenjiao decides that after I got that crazy double kill, he wants to end the game instead. Because why not just make the game more entertaining? Because, that's what we're about at the end of the day, is entertainment. And so now I'm stuck with the Mundo zoning me, but I want to try to kill this Talon because I don't want them getting the Elder. And so I try to go over the wall here, throw my second ability. Talon goes over that way. And so now we're in a weird spot. We end up getting a bunch of damage onto him. I have my ultimate, so I use my ultimate. And then I stasis. But now there's a Kennen here. I'm very scared. Now I got to try to find a way to one-shot this Talon who's 1 HP. We end up killing him and then getting the Elder Dragon because this game is just a fiesta and I have no idea what's happening anymore. But somehow we got the Elder, and now the game's looking playable. Kalista gets the triple off the back of that Elder, but the Kennen is now on a rampage and he's quite scary late game. And then I almost get the combo off again, but I get rooted as I ultimate, and so I don't get to dash onto Jhin, and I die. And again, another mistake. There were definitely some mistakes for me. We carried this game, we're carrying, but we're also making some mistakes. We almost get the outplay onto Jhin, and then say we got that Jhin there, we would have killed Nami, would have won the game instantly. But instead, because, this game is just a mess, we end up dying there. And so now I'm hoping my team gets Baron, but with me dead, it's a lot scarier because they don't have the threat of getting one-shot by a 14-kill Echo now. So I believe my team does end up getting the Elder Dragon, or the Baron rather. But my Zhenjiao's not even the one who smites it. It's the Rumble, because why wouldn't this game just be weird? And then, yeah, that Jhin is very, very fed at this point. I believe he's like full build. Yeah, he's almost full build. I think he still needs to build GA or something. Pablo resubbed. You can see on the screen. Shout out to Pablo. Random shout out. Thanks for the resub. You can see it on the screen there. But yeah, Kalista gets another kill. And then we just got to make sure the bot lane's getting pushed out so that we don't, the game doesn't get ended on us, because they do have this constant side lane pressure from that time where the Kennen did get that. And then we try to one-shot the Talon here, but Talon also, does an insane amount of burst damage. So I almost get one-shot. He did a lot more damage than me because I only got my third ability on him. He got like his ultimate and everything. So end up having to go back to base. But again, we're just focusing on pushing out this bot wave at this point because we have the Baron. So we just want to stall as best as we can. Then because we do have the Elder and we have the Baron, I try to go towards mid to see if we can possibly find an end angle or at least an inhib or something. And so yeah, that's what we're looking for here. We're looking for a one-shot, trying to see if anyone is in one-shot range. I end up flashing onto the Nami, and she barely did not die. I'm very sad about that. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. We still can go for this turret. Look at the damage on the turret. Third ability auto, literally 1100 health. It died. Any AP scaling ability that's an auto attack will do an absurd amount of damage to turrets. Watch it again. Look at that damage. And so that is something that's really important. But then look at that Jhin damage too. This guy is so fed at this point. He did half my health with an auto attack. And that is just like, you know, it's just absurd. Like, I'm one-shotting people. Jhin's one-shotting people. And this is after the durability patch. So just imagine if this was before, you know, like it would really be crazy. But we end up getting the mid inhib out of it and almost getting the top inhib. I believe we do end up getting it with that one. And so it's not over, but we got a lot out of that push. And so now we have a lot more pressure. Kennen ends up going on to us. I try to ult onto him. We end up killing him with a pretty nice outplay there. So the ultimate usage was pretty clean this game. We end up trying to stun the Mundo. Mundo runs away. And then we kind of have to back off at this point. Or I guess we did actually kill Talon. So we didn't have to back off quite there. But yeah, here, I mean, overall, I don't think we're going to be able to end here because of Jhin's wave clear. But it's looking pretty good, you know, at this point, despite everything that happened in the early game. So we try to go onto the turret to see if we can end up getting the turret. Again, you see my third ability damage we go for there. But then I end up ulting, and I believe I kill Jhin, but I die. Yeah, so I kill Jhin, but I die. Don't think I could have stuck on the turret because there were no minions there, so we had to try to at least salvage it somewhat. We got the shutdown onto him. You know, it's whatever, really, at the end of the day. Trading 1-for-1 with him is fine because he's really fed. So we end up getting a lot of pressure out of that. We're kind of in a pretty good spot now. And so we're just going to skip through and then set up for the objective. You'll see us going for this Elder. And this Elder fight is where, you know, things get pretty crazy. So we have the open Nexus, but they are still pretty strong. So it's pretty dangerous to fight them at the end of the day. Jhin could potentially one-shot us. And so we want to go pressure that mid-wave if we can. I'm trying to blow the Kennen's thing, the crown, but we didn't quite get it. And so we want to pressure this mid-wave so that they're drawn towards the mid-wave and pressured to defend their Nexus. But what ends up happening is Kennen kind of distracts us pretty hard. We end up trying to ult onto them, but we don't get a bunch of damage off the ultimate, so I have to flash away now. And now they have control, so they're going to go for this Elder. And we realize, okay, they're probably just going to get that Elder. There's not much I can do about it. And so I'd rather pressure the end here, which is why we end up going onto the mid wave, and we have that top wave pushing as well. And so as we see that the Elder is dying, we just go straight towards mid lane. We decide, let's see if we can somehow backdoor this game. We use our wave clear to push the wave as quick as we can, go on to this wave. And then I have my third ability. You're going to see the absurd third ability damage here. We end up getting it really low, but we get rooted, we get stunned, and we die. Melio auto-attacking the Nexus almost kills it, and then the minions finish it off. So a really just insane game. I was losing my mind when I was playing this game, and I was losing my mind again watching it back, reliving the emotions of the crazy game. So I just thought I'd share this with you guys because I thought it was a pretty funny game and everything. We'll show you the stats at the end of the game as well. Kalista had pretty crazy damage because of all the damage that Kalista was pumping into a Mundo. But we do get the MVP, 17, 8, and 5. Pretty messy game. 8 deaths, quite a bit, but we do end up carrying. And you can see the damage here. We did almost 60k as an assassin, and then we had 73k on the Kalista, 78k on the Jhin. So yeah, pretty absurd. Hope you guys enjoyed, as always, and I'll see you in the next video.